So, we're going to do how I got into pro wrestling, part 9. And I hope that I could finish at 10, but I don't know. It will depend. I got so much to say. So, in the last episode, I said that I was training at the Monster Factory. And like I said, I don't like to brag about it because honestly, I didn't spend there, I didn't graduate there. I wasn't one of the best students either. But I did learn things that have helped me over my wrestling career, mostly the ring psychology. I didn't work any shows when I was living in New Jersey because I didn't have a car. Even to get to wrestling practice, it was a hassle. Sometimes I had to ride my bicycle. The school was about 5 miles, so I had a bicycle that I used to move around on weekends when I wasn't going to work because I used to work in Philadelphia. So I would take the bus to go to Philadelphia. Um, but on weekends, I would have the bicycle and I would go ride my bicycle for 5 miles, train at the Monster Factory, and then come back because they were open on Saturdays. And during the week, I was at work, and the days for training, I would go once a week, um, one day of the week, because I couldn't go both days because you know, um, sleep and all that kind of stuff. And the transportation wasn't very reliable there. I had to take the bus, so I will only go one time there, and then I will go back to my apartment. And like I said, when I did the tryout, they realized that I had already some knowledge in the wrestling business, so it was just like a way of like just polishing the moves that I was learning and learning chain wrestling. I didn't wrestle in any shows, but I did help in a few shows. And like I said, Larry had a truck that he will use for the ring that will be used on shows. And there were three main shows that I remember, and it was because of the things that happened there. One of the shows was um, in a church at a festival. I think it was like an Italian festival, and it was in a church, and they put the ring outside, and people were wrestling, and I went to that show only to help doing ring crew because it was needed, and security, and if somebody needed something, I would go and pick it up in the ring. But I wasn't wrestling on that show. The other show that we did was in a festival, and I think it was in Paulsboro, kind of. I know I rode to that show with Larry on his truck, and it was interesting because they closed the whole street of the. It was closed because of the festival. There were vendors with food and all that kind of stuff, and in the middle of the road, we put the ring in there, and everybody was around. And to me, it was interesting because in Puerto Rico, we used to keep the kayfabe alive, and it was very hard to see the baby faces and the heels hanging out together at the same time without any drama happening. So to me, I was kind of like in shock from that, because of the way that I was trained in Puerto Rico to keep their business, hidden and all that kind of stuff. Um, I did had two matches that day, and one of them was kind of like amateur wrestling because wrestling was from amateur, so they would do an amateur tournament. I was never good at it. I always lose. All the matches they put me in that I would lose because I wasn't very good at that. And then I did wrestle one match, and I think it was against Danny Cage. If I remember, I could be wrong. It could be somebody else, but I know he was a champion at the time, and he just went there, bring his belt, and wanted to face me. So I wrestled him. I worked with him, and ended up like losing that match. Um, the second time that I participated in one of the shows was a show that they did near where I lived. I used to live in Collingswood. They did a show in a car dealership in Oakland, and I could walk to that particular show. That day I made a mistake. I didn't took my health insurance with me, and that was very important later on. So I arrived to the show, to the venue. There was and I remember this show because of the event that happened. So I arrived to the show. We had the ring set up in the car dealership. Larry Sharp was the one doing the introductions, all that kind of stuff. That was the first time that I actually wrestled, and I was a heel, and I was wrestling one of the new kids that we nicknamed the Hardys. So I was wrestling one of them, And during the match, I called for a double clothesline. And when I called for the double clothesline, I ended up falling, and my arm stayed behind, so my arm ended up dislocating. And I just had to finish the match. So I finished the match. The finish was a pump handle slam, followed by a splash. And then they had to call an ambulance because I was in a lot of pain. So I called an ambulance, and I'm like, no, I don't have my insurance with me. I will have to go to my apartment to get it. Um, so they took me to a hospital. I didn't have my health insurance card, so I got a nice hospital bill. But one of the wrestlers' mom, Monica's mom, she went there to visit me at the hospital when I was getting the procedure done because I was alone. Like, I didn't have anybody else, and that's the tough part about getting injured. When you get injured, you don't have somebody else to watch you or take you to where you need to go. It can be tough. So I did wrestle. I finished the match, and then I had to recover from that injury, and I will explain what happened afterwards in the next episode of How I Got Into Pro Wrestling, which I hope you're having a good time.